Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. The average price for a gallon of gas is up nearly $2 from just a year ago, with no signs of slowing down. That's straining wallets and souring Americans on the state of the economy. Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
Eye-popping numbers. The average gas price for a gallon is nearly $4.92, according to AAA, 30 cents higher than just a week ago. Diesel is also at a record high of $5.68 on average.
It's painful to go to the gas station, and I think we're all just feeling that.
It's an across-the-country problem. Some states are feeling it more than others. California, by far, faring the worst with gas prices. Tuesday, the Treasury Secretary was before Congress just days before the next inflation report is released. Lawmakers are trying to figure out how the government can bring relief for families stretched thin.
Through an historic release of 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and energy prices, gas prices, while very high, have risen a lot. They would be higher without that.
There's growing pessimism over the state of the economy as a whole. A Wall Street Journal poll showed 83% of Americans describe the economy as poor or not good. And there's criticism that the administration is not doing enough to bring down gas prices.
We understand there's more work to be done, but we are continuing to take steps, and we are encouraged because of where we are economically. We're going to do everything that we can to attack inflation.
Already, drivers in more than a dozen states are paying over $5 a gallon. Analysts say $6 on average could be coming this summer. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Families poured into Corning's Gaffer District today for story time in Centerway Square. Free stories with a lot of fun thrown in is what the Gaffer District offers with its Storytime series. Families come together to take part in the weekly event.
My favorite part was reading the books. I got a new book.
You got a new book? What did you learn about in the book?
Bugs.
Kids of all ages can enjoy story time in Centerway Square every Tuesday at 10 a.m. here in Corning's Gaffer District. A disease outbreak in strawberries is leading to the recall of a bottled tea that's been sold in New York. Urban Remedies Strawberry Hibiscus Rose Tea Tonic is being recalled due to a contamination of hepatitis A linked to organic strawberries. The tea was sold in 12-ounce bottles with a best buy date of July 17th of this year. Federal officials are investigating strawberries imported from Mexico under the brands Fresh Campo and HEB that have been resulting in at least 17 hospitalizations in 3 states. Federal regulators are reviewing data from a new COVID-19 vaccine. The formula could get the green light as new COVID infections rise in the western U.S. Jonathan Seri has more.
Americans could soon have a 4th COVID vaccine option. The FDA's vaccine advisors meet today to discuss the Novavax formula for people 18 years and older. The drug maker began developing the 2-dose series back in 2020, but struggled to ramp up production. In a clinical trial, the vaccine was about 90% effective against mild, moderate, or severe COVID.
What I've seen of the Novavax data so far is it's a really impressive protein vaccine.
The vaccine is already available in more than 40 countries, but it will face competition here in the U.S. About 70% of eligible Americans are already fully vaccinated against COVID-19, with the majority opting for Pfizer's or Moderna's formulas. Novavax says its shot could eventually play a role as a booster.
We've demonstrated that you can boost and get a very good response, both if you boost our own vaccine or if you boost one of the other vaccines.
The meeting comes as COVID activity improves across the Northeast, with New York and Massachusetts reporting a decline in hospitalizations. Omicron subvariants are now fueling a surge of cases in the western U.S., though health experts say most people are not developing severe COVID.
It's really hard to tease out how much of this are the variants themselves, the type of virus that we're seeing, versus the fact that we have just lots of pre-existing immunity in our population.
If the FDA authorizes the Novavax formula, the CDC will first have to sign off before distribution. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
The Russians are pulling out all the stops to take over eastern Ukraine, but they're not making much progress. Trey Yingst has more from Kyiv, Ukraine.
The battle for the Donbass is intensifying on day 104 of the war in Ukraine. The Russians have been largely stalled in their efforts to push the Ukrainians out of Severodonetsk, a key strategic city that could determine control over the entire region. Moscow now sending in more reinforcements. But the Ukrainians have been staging successful counterattacks over the past 3 days, pushing the Russians back to the industrial outskirts of the city despite being outnumbered and outgunned.
We are keeping the situation under control. There are more of them, they are more powerful, but we have every chance to fight in every direction.
The Russians also stepping up shelling and airstrikes on towns and cities along the front lines. Ukrainian officials say those forces are increasingly targeting civilian areas, resulting in a higher rate of casualties.
Today we have 2 injured people on the head, 1 people without leg.
Meanwhile, on the economic front, President Zelensky says the Russians are stealing Ukrainian grain and selling it overseas, echoing accusations made by Secretary of State Antony Blinken. And the European Union is now blaming Russia for a possible global food crisis, prompting Moscow's UN ambassador to walk out of a Security Council meeting on Monday.
This is cowardly, this is propaganda, pure and simple propaganda. You may leave the room, maybe it's easier not to listen to the truth.
The West is accusing Russia of using its military to stop Ukrainian farmers from planting and harvesting. In Kyiv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
A pup who swam from New York to New Jersey is set to be released from a Brooklyn animal hospital. The 7-month-old German Shepherd named Bailey escaping a yard in Red Hook, Brooklyn at the end of April and setting off on a 9-day, 6-mile journey that took him through Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, the Holland Tunnel, and the Gowanus Bay. He was spotted in a New Jersey parking garage at the beginning of May and was seen at the top of a ledge at the garage where he was rescued by authorities. Bailey was taken to Veterinary Emergency and Referral Group in Brooklyn and treated for a slew of injuries sustained during his incredible adventure. He is now said to be 100% healed and on his way home. Your complete forecast is next. Plus, the rising cost of diesel is forcing companies to pass the cost on to consumers. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, the rainy and wet conditions have been dominating much of the state of New York. I'm meteorologist Alyssa Triplett, and that rainy, dreary weather moved through even Binghamton here, as you can see on the camera. We had those showers and thunderstorms increasing as we stepped into the evening hours, and we'll keep that chance through the overnight. It is going to become a bit more isolated, but note that we are going to see some wind switch as well as some clearing and some calming with some cool temperatures by tomorrow morning. And as we have clear, calm, and cool conditions, that is going to have the potential to bring in some morning fog, especially with some lingering moisture. So note that there may be some reduced visibility getting the kids out to the bus stop, potentially even still some misting before we'll see that bright sunshine be around as we head into your Wednesday forecast. But as we speak on sunshine, it is going to be very short-lived. It will help temperatures climb into those mid to upper 70s, looking at a seasonal day. But as these systems continue to sweep through, we will turn back to gray clouds as we head into Wednesday night, talking about shower activity to affect that Thursday morning commute. So noting that more of those drier layers are needed, and then as we head into the weekend, it's about more rain chances. So it's an active weather pattern, almost like April's trying to return here as we head into the early parts of June. So rolling through forecasts here starting at 1 a.m. Still some of those showers and thunderstorms lingering towards the Elmira and Corning area, but that will continue to pull its way out. We'll start off with some more thick cloud cover that will burn off with that fog cover potential as well. You'll see sometimes the sunshine, but it is short-lived. There's that cloud cover returning back into the area, and we will bring in some heavier rainfall from Pennsylvania into southern southern portions of New York. And you can see those higher reflectivities even at 7 a.m. on Thursday. So definitely some ponding conditions could be possible for the morning commute. So note that it could be a wet one as well as stormy one. Not going to see severe weather, but definitely some thunder, especially where you see those higher reflectivities will be possible for Thursday morning. As for precipitation accumulation, including what we see from tonight as well as that Thursday system, anywhere from a quarter of an inch upwards of an inch is going to be possible. So especially the heaviest of the rainfall will come that Thursday system, and it will come with just in a couple hour span. So you are looking at the ponding on the roadways, some localized flooding of a possibility. Now, as we get the break first before we get to the rainfall, high temperatures on Wednesday are expected to climb into those mid to upper 70s. So just on par for average, that quick peak of sunshine really helping us out. But then we do continue to watch some changes. On Thursday morning, 56 will be your low temperature with that rain. High temperatures will struggle to climb due to staying under some showers as well as cloudier skies. Then into that 7-day forecast, we get some sunshine again on Friday, trying to help those temperatures out. But then as mentioned, we are talking about more shower and thunderstorm chances into the weekend forecast as we see temperatures hold even to the 60s on Saturday. So a bit cooler for that weekend forecast, but it looks like we continue some isolated storms into Monday before it looks like cooler temperatures may dominate into early parts of our next work week with some sunshine on the way for your Tuesday.
When you imagine farm life, you may conjure up an image of a man holding a pitchfork. But farms have come a long way, with many high-tech devices infiltrating the agriculture world. Jackie Ibanez has more on how self-driving tractors are making an impact.
Massive Western drought and the ongoing war in Ukraine are putting increased pressure on American farmers to ramp up food production in the face of global shortages. These factors, plus lingering pandemic labor deficits, are helping a growing number of farmers embrace high-tech innovations, like Deere & Co.'s first ever self-driving tractors.
Farmers are trying to grow food to feed the entire world, to feed a growing population.
Armed with artificial intelligence and GPS sensors, the autonomous tractors can be controlled right from your cell phone as they efficiently till fields. But the technology does more than plow dirt. It also gathers data on where crops are planted so workers can monitor soil quality and crop rotation year to year.
Making sure they preserve the quality of the soil in their land over time so that that land can be passed on to future generations for them to farm it.
But saving time and manpower while increasing productivity will cost you. Deere's self-driving tractors are expected to officially launch in the fall for $500,000. Some farmers say it's a situation where it takes money to make money.
If we can save money on our inputs or save money on operating our equipment, save fuel, do it faster and more efficiently, that's just a win-win situation.
The tractors could be the gift that keeps on giving. Industry experts hope the agricultural data they collect while plowing will help improve the way farming equipment is developed in the future.
Trucking industry officials say American consumers could continue bearing the brunt of the surging fuel costs as the price of diesel continues to go up and up. Kevin Cork has more on why it's causing more drivers to slam on the brakes, plus a look at the possible economic impacts.
Sticker shock at the pumps continues. It's a lot. But it's not just gasoline gouging wallets. Data collected by the Associated Press finds the cost of diesel is roughly 70% higher than this time last year. With AAA reporting the national average price is now $5.65 per gallon.
If it keeps going the way it's going, I'm going to find myself in an early grave.
Just like with rising gas prices, market research analysts attribute most of the skyrocketing diesel costs to the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Before the Russian invasion, the oil market was tight. Inventories were low, demand was rising, there was a little spare capacity. And then the Russian invasion has removed some supply from the U.S. and Europe.
But many trucking companies say they just can't keep absorbing the costs.
That will ultimately be reflected in the prices that the consumer pays, and that's part of the increase in the cost of food.
And the situation may only get worse, with many drivers reporting their job wages simply aren't rising at the same rate as diesel prices.
Going from Clackamas, Oregon to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, it was only paying $2,500 to the driver.
Trucks deliver about 70% of all goods transported across the country. Supply chain issues could result if more drivers refuse jobs because of surging diesel prices. Getting tough out there indeed.
Telehealth visits could soon get pricier for a lot of Americans. The pandemic showed us just how much can get done from the comfort of our homes, including doctor's visits. But now more doctors will have to see patients in person because an Emergency Health Act started during the pandemic will soon end. Joy Addison has that story.
Healthcare workers say telehealth visits have been helpful during the pandemic, but they've also presented some challenges. And now, in less than 5 months, the Federal Public Health Emergency Act will end. This made telehealth visits affordable for people on Medicare.
The pandemic presents many challenges to the healthcare system.
We've had labor shortages, workforce changes significantly.
One of the big things that's been challenging is just trying to make sure that patients have good access to care.
HCA Houston Healthcare's Dr. Kristen Brigger says this is where telemedicine became key during the height of the pandemic.
We're doing a lot of appointments that weren't traditionally used by telemedicine just to make sure we were checking in on our patients.
Medicare paid for 840,000 telehealth visits in 2019, and this number skyrocketed to nearly 52.7 million telehealth visits in 2020. Nurse executive Nan Phillips oversees and addresses how hospitals are run. She says virtual visits help clear some of the patient backlog because doctors can use them for their regular patients and save their in-person time for those who have been skipping routine appointments.
The patients that are coming to our doors for care being much more complex with multiple comorbidities.
But telehealth does have its challenges, including cost and accessibility. Medicare will only continue to fully cover telehealth visits into mid-October, when the Public Health Emergency Act is set to end.
I think we should try to have a very uniform system that's used in order to make sure that this service is provided for everyone, regardless of their insurance coverage.
There is currently no word on how telehealth visits will be covered for people with Medicare and private insurance. Dr. Brigger also mentioned some concerns for people who live in rural areas and have depended heavily on telehealth for the past 2 years.
Your next iPhone software update might include some changes you've been hoping for. Apple unveiled some of its new features and gadgets during a showcase on Monday. Anna Eliopoulos has more.
Apple on Monday showcasing some big changes on the horizon for its newest operating system, iOS 16. New customization options are coming to the iPhone's lock screen. Users can now add more widgets that provide information at a glance, like weather forecasts and upcoming calendar events.
So I'll add the temperature, my activity rings, and let's drag in the calendar widget.
One feature that will likely be a highly anticipated change for nearly all iPhone users, the ability to edit or unsend a text after it's already been sent.
Have you ever wished you'd never sent that message at all? Well, good news. Now you have undo send, so you can immediately recall a recent misfire.
This is something that especially is widely used by this new Gen Z audience. And now that they're building in more capabilities into iMessage to keep you in there and keep you glued, I think that's great for the whole ecosystem.
A buy now, pay later feature is also coming to Apple Pay. Now people who pay with the app will have the option to split purchases into 4 equal payments.
Spread over 6 weeks with 0 interest and no fees of any kind.
Outside of the iPhone, Apple also showing off its next generation of MacBooks, powered by the company's latest chip, the M2, which Apple says will provide faster processing while using less power. Something that was absent from Monday's announcement, any mention of Apple's work on a VR headset. Gamers had hoped for news on that gadget, which is rumored to have been in the works for years.
We want to leave you with a smile. Krispy Kreme is welcoming summer with a brand new treat. The beloved donut chain is releasing its Pick of the Patch only for a limited time. The 4 donut collection includes blueberry cheesecake, strawberry shortcake, and the mixed berry cobbler. And they are debuting the mixed berry glazed, all inspired by berries. These treats will be available Fridays to Sundays starting June 10th. Sounds sweet. From our whole team, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day.